talked about doing things that he said were irreversible during the shutdown, you know, cutting vast numbers of people, he said, and cutting programs. Can you specify what exactly he was referring to, what's on the table and what's going to be cut?
Look, I think the Vice President just referred to this in some of the answers that he gave regarding the layoffs. There are unfortunate consequences to a government shutdown, and the federal government is not receiving any cash at the moment, and so the Office of Management and Budget has been tasked with looking over the receipts and looking over the budget of the entire federal bureaucracy, and as the Vice President said, determining what needs to continue to go out the door and what can we continue to keep running and what unfortunately is going to have to come to an end. So those decisions are being made, and unfortunately layoffs are very likely, as the Vice President just said, going to be a part of that.
And has the White House had any direct response from Hamas from the peace proposal that was laid out? You know, the President said he would give 3 or 4 days, but is there a hard deadline now, or what are the next steps here?
I will reiterate what the President of the United States said, 3 or 4 days, and I can tell you that there are some very sensitive discussions that are taking place, but I certainly don't want to get ahead of any announcement at this podium. I'm going to let Special Envoy Witkoff and the President of the United States handle that.
Thank you, Karoline. 2 questions. First of all, following up on that, the President said yesterday, I believe, within 3 or 4 days he wanted to hear an answer from Hamas. Is he still sticking by that timeline?
Yes, as I just confirmed.
And then second question is a comment that's gotten a lot of global attention. Senator Dick Durbin, he was set to receive a Lifetime Achievement Award from the Catholic Church. He's since declined accepting it because there has been some controversy. Pope Leo commented on this, and he said that someone who says I'm against abortion, but I'm in agreement with the inhumane treatment of immigrants in the United States, I don't know if that's pro-life. You've been very open about your Catholic faith. How do you respond to that?
I would reject there is inhumane treatment of illegal immigrants in the United States under this administration. There was, however, significant inhumane treatment of illegal immigrants in the previous administration as they were being trafficked and raped and beaten, and in many cases killed, over our United States southern border. You also look at the inhumane treatment at the hands of some of these illegal immigrants that took place under the previous administration as well. Laken Riley comes to mind, a beautiful American citizen who was killed at the hands of an illegal immigrant. So this administration is trying to enforce our nation's laws in the most humane way possible, and we're upholding the law, and we're doing that on behalf of the people of our country who live here.
Josh. Thanks a lot, Karoline. What is the level of concern that the administration has regarding a protracted government shutdown in terms of its impact on the U.S. economy and also its impact on small businesses as well?
Well, look, this government shutdown is no doubt going to impact everyday Americans, and it is the fault of the Democrats that we are in this position. And I know I relayed some programs that will be impacted, the Vice President did as well, but I just want to make sure the American public understand what the Democrats have done to our government and our country. 1.3 million active duty troops will work now without pay. Critical food assistance for low-income women, infants, and children will now lapse. No new mothers or children are allowed to join this critical program because of the Democrats' decision to shut down the government. Telehealth services for seniors and in-home treatment options for Medicare patients will now come to an end. Nearly 50,000 members of the United States Coast Guard are going to have to work unpaid. Over 13,000 air traffic controllers will work without pay, as well as TSA agents, which will very likely create flight disruptions. And pay will now stop for over 150,000 federal law enforcement officers. These are not just numbers and statistics. These are real Americans who have families at home. And I saw some Democrat members today saying they're still going to accept their paychecks because they have 3 kids at home and they have mouths to feed. Well, so do these federal workers who those same Democrats just voted to shut down the government and turn off their pay. And we believe that's very unfair, and it's why the administration wants to see the government reopened.
GDP growth fell by about 0.5 percentage point during the last government shutdown during the president's first term. Are you expecting a similar type of impact on GDP growth related to this potential protracted government shutdown?
Well, look, I think it's dependent upon how long this shutdown continues. So it's dependent on how long it takes Democrats to muster up the coverage, 5 of them, to vote in the best interest of our country, our citizens, and our economy. Eamon.
Thank you, Caroline. Yesterday, your administration took a 5% stake in Lithium Americas and a stake in the mine that they're working on, and you've taken stakes in other companies and revenue streams from other companies. Can you articulate the broader principle here? When does the administration see it as appropriate to demand equity stakes or revenue streams from American companies? And what other companies are you going to be demanding those from?
Well, look, this is a creative solution by the President of the United States to tackle our nation's crippling debt crisis. As I said earlier, we are $37 trillion, trillion with a T, in debt. And not only is the president effectively utilizing tariffs to bring in massive amounts of revenue, and there's billions of dollars coming in every month. I know you know that even because you cover it on CNBC quite well. So the president is focused on how can the United States government make more money? How can we make our country wealthy and rich again? And cutting some of these unique creative deals with companies around the world and here at home is just one way the president is seeking to do that. And I know the Department of Energy just announced this new deal. It's another great deal for the American people and our government.
Great.